Welcome to the teaching learning session of sociology. In our last lecture, we discussed about classes in India. In today's lecture, we'll discuss about social institution and change, family, marriage, and kinship. Our today's topic is family, hello dear learners, marriage, and kinship. Welcome to the teaching learning session. These three institutions are at the core of all communities. In our last lecture, family is the basic social institution from which other social institutions will discuss about and develop. Institution and the word family have been taken from the family word marriage, famulus, kinship, which means this today's topic is and the Latin word familia, meaning household. These three institutions are at the core. The family is one of the most primary group in society. Family is the basic social institution. The family is a universal and oldest among other social institutions and developed. The family is an institution in the sense that it gives the framework of relationship, which is guided by certain rules and procedures which are at the core of the family. These three institutions G.P. Murdoch, a well-known anthropologist, has conducted about 250 researches on family. He says that family is different in structure but similar in its function in various societies. That family is more or less durable associations of husband and wife, which are at the core of the family, with or without children. G.P. family is an association anthropologist has conducted about with or without children. He says it is a group of persons in structure whose relations similar in its function are based societies like kinship, that is those kids who are related by blood associations, mother and child, husband and affirms wife, those who are related by marriage or without children, sisters, husband. The family is an who are therefore kin to one another with or without children. Family is a group. It is a group defined by sex relationship sufficiently precise and enduring to provide for the procreation and upbringing of children. It is a social group characterized by common residence, economic cooperation, and reproduction. Family is a basic primary group and the natural matrix of personality. Family is a biological social unit composed of husband, wife, and children. It is a system of relationship existing between parents and children. Various sociologists have defined families. According to G.P. Murdoch, family is a social group characterized by common residence, economic cooperation, and reproduction and procreation of children. So according to Murdoch, it is a social group. The characteristic of this group is economic cooperation, procreation, reproduction, and residence. Besants and Besants defined family as a woman with a child and a man to look after them. Clare defined family as it is a system of relationship existing between parents and children. According to Nimkov, a family is more or less durable association of husband and wife with or without children of a man or woman along with children. Horton and Hunt defined family as a type of kinship grouping which provides for the rearing of children and certain other human needs. Elliot and Merrill defined family as a biological social unit composed of husband, wife, and children. It may also refer in some places to patrilineage or matrilineage or to a group of cognates, that is, person descended from the same ancestors. In some other cases, family may refer to group of relatives and their dependents forming one household. All this refer to the compositional aspects of this institution. Another aspect of residence is its members. They usually share common residence at least or some part of their lives. The third aspect is relational aspect of the family. Members have reciprocal rights and duties towards each other. The family is also an agent of socialization. All these aspects make this institution different from other units of social structure. So, there are three aspects of this institution. The first is compositional aspect of this institution. Second is residence. And the third is relational aspect. There are certain features of family. The first feature is universality. Family is a universal social unit and existed in every age and in every society. Every person is a member of one family or the other. Second feature is financial provision. Every family makes some kind of financial provision so that all basic requirements of the family can be met. Third feature is limited size and nucleus. Family is considered to be the smallest kinship group and basically made up of husband, wife, and their unmarried children. It is limited in size and its membership is confined to those who are related either by marriage, these are also referred as affins, or by blood ties. There are joint families or extended families as well, which have at least three generations of parents and their children, along with their own elderly parents and sons and their spouses living together. Fourth characteristic or feature is emotional basis. The members of family are emotionally bound to each other and share pleasures and pains with one another. The integration of bonds in family is mutual affection and blood ties, and they provide love, care, and protection to each other. Social regulation is another feature. In family, the members are trained through socialization to follow social norms, customs, and social conduct in the process of socialization. Among the family members, interrelationships and interactions are guided by social and legal regulation. Another feature is the nuclear family of husband and wife and their unmarried children grow into a joint family when the children grow up and get married and have their own children. The family then becomes a joint till the children leave or the parent dies. Another feature is a fixed or common habitation. Every family has a fixed place of habitation, and members usually share a common residence in which husband, wife, their children, and other relatives live together. Right? So, what are the salient features of the family? The first feature is universality. Family is a universal social unit. Financial provision, it is responsibility of the family to support the family with finances. Limited size and nucleus is another feature. Emotional basis, members of families are emotionally attached with each other. Social regulation, it is responsibility of the family to teach or to tell how to behave. And society, family has a common habitation, they share a common residence. What are the functions of families? Sociologists have tried to divide functions of the families differently. Akban and Nimkov divided the functions of family into 6 categories. These categories are affectional function, second is economic function, third is recreational function, fourth is protective function, fifth religious function, and sixth is educational function. So Akban and Nimkov divided the functions of family into 6. This is very important. I'm repeating again those 6 functions of the family according to Akban and Nimkov. First is affectional function, economic function, recreational function, protective function, religious function, and educational function. Another function, there are other functions like satisfaction of sex needs or biological functions. The first and foremost biological function of family is satisfaction of sexual desires in greater degree between husband and wife in an orderly and socially approved manner. The second function is production and rearing of children. The next important biological function of family is procreation. Family is an institution par excellence for rearing of children and gets a new generation which inherits the family legacy. Another function is provision of home and minimum basic facilities or economic function. Family fulfills some basic facilities and needs of its members to certain extent by providing them food, clothing, and shelter. Another function is giving love and sympathy or psychological function. All members of family are supposed to provide supposed to provide emotional support. They should have sympathetic and caring attitude. Stability and security of its member are important. Children require love and affection from their parents. Husband and wife want love from each other. love and affection to the elderly from the family members, and so on. This is one of the important function of family. Family is our supportive network. So psychological functions or love and sympathic. Next function is socialization. It is the most important function of family. Through the family, child is able to learn language, customs, traditions, etiquettes, norms, and values, beliefs, and social roles of the society. It is the family that socializes the new generation and transmits the moral ideas of group to its members. Protection of young ones. The essential function of family is to protect and give physical care to every member. Family right from the newborn baby to the elderly without their facing any risk and danger. So the primary functions of family is protection of young ones, socialization, giving love and sympathy or the psychological function, then economic functions, then production and rearing of the children, and satisfaction of the sexual needs or the biological functions. There are types of families. A classification of families into joint and nuclear family is usually based on the way in which families are organized. Nuclear families refer to a group consisting of man, his wife, and their unmarried children. So, nuclear family includes father, mother, and unmarried children. The joint family is commonly defined as a nuclear family plus all kins belonging to the side of a husband and or wife living in one home. Extended family is used instead of the term joint family to indicate that combines two or more nuclear families and is based on an extension of parent child relationship. Nuclear family is mother family consists of mother, father, and children. That is nuclear family. Joint family, mother, father, children, plus kin of either mother side or of father's side. That is joint family. And the third type of family is extended family. Extended family is combination of two or more nucleus families. Then patrilineal extended family is based on an extension of the father-son relationship, while matrilineally extended family is based on mother-daughter relationship. The extended family may also be extended horizontally to include a group consisting of two or more brothers, their wives, and children. This horizontally extended family is called fraternal or collateral family. In India, the family, whether extended vertically or horizontally, is called a joint family, which is strictly speaking also the property sharing unit. They share the property among themselves. Thus, the concept of joint family in India has legal and other references as well. Definition of nuclear and joint family are limited in the sense that do not say anything more than the compositional aspect of the family. We discussed about the three aspects of the family. One of them was the compositional aspect. So nuclear family and joint family discuss only the compositional aspect of the family. When we look at the wide variations through time in pattern of family living based on religion, based on region, caste and class in India, we find that nuclear and joint family organization cannot be viewed as two distinct, isolated and independent units, but as a continuum, as something interrelated in developmental cycle. The structure of family changes over the time period in terms of size, compositions, role, and status of person, the family and societal norms and sanctions. There probably is rarely a family in India which remains perpetually nuclear in composition. The nuclear family is a stage in a cycle with other structural type of families. Pauline Colenda has discussed additions or modifications in nuclear family structure. According to her, the compositional categories are nuclear family refers to couple with or without children. Supplemented nuclear family indicates a nuclear family plus one or more unmarried, separated, widowed relatives of parents other than their unmarried children. Subnuclear family is identified as fragment of former nuclear family. For instance, a widow or widower with his or her unmarried children or sibling living together. Then the single person household. Fifth is supplemented subnuclear family. It refers to group of relatives, members of formally complete nuclear family, along with some other unmarried, divorced, widowed relative who was not a member of nuclear family. For instance, a widow and her unmarried children may be living together with her widowed mother-in-law. In Indian context, it is easy to find all these types of families. However, in terms of societal norms and values, these types relate to the joint family system. M.S. Gore points out that ideally the joint family consists of men, his wife, their adult sons, their wives, and children, and younger children of paternal couple. So, parents, children, their spouses. It forms a joint family. This is a joint family, according to M.S. Gore. In this ideal type, the oldest male is the head of the family. The right and the duties in this type of families are laid down to a great extent by the hierarchical order of power and authorities. Age and sex are the main ordering principle of family hierarchy. The frequency and nature of contact or communication between the members may vary on the basis of sex. Younger members are required to show respect to the older members and can hardly question the authority or the decision taken by the elders, even when it is directly related to them. There are two aspects of joint family system in India. That is, those two aspects is what constitutes the jointness and who constitutes the joint family. What constitutes a jointness? Jointness is reflected in the factors of commensality, second, common residence, third, joint ownership of property, fifth, cooperation and sentiment of jointness, and ritual bonds of worship of common deity. Commensality. Most of the studies of joint family used this term. It means eating together. It is a defining criteria. Member cooks and eat food from the same kitchen. So in joint family, all members share the same kitchen. They cook and eat food from the same kitchen. Second is common residency. They share common residence. Next is joint ownership of property. Joint ownership of property or co-personally is essence of jointness. Irrespective of the type of residence and commensality, in legal terms, this is the most crucial factor used for defining a joint family. Next is cooperation and sentiment. I.P. Desai and K.M. Kapadia points out that jointness should be looked in functional terms. A functionally joint family lays stress on fulfillment of obligations towards kin. Next is patrilineal joint family may consist of number of households headed by the males related through the father. They may be located even at the distant places and may even have property in common. But what is common and that they identify themselves as a member of a particular family. They are not sharing a common residence. They are not sharing a property. But still, they are identifying themselves as a member of a particular family. Cooperation in rituals and ceremonies render financial and other kinds of help, and they cherish a common family sentiment and abide by the norms of joint living. Next is ritual bonds. The ritual bonds of joint family are considered to be an important component of jointness. Ritual bond among joint family member can be a common deity worship. Now, who constitutes a joint family? Kin relationship between the members, the number of generations in one unit, and the sharing of common property constitutes a joint family. Joint family may consist of members related lineally or collaterally or both. There is more or less unanimous agreement that family is essentially defined as joint only if it includes two or more related married couples. These couples may be related lineally, usually in father-son relationship, or occasionally in father-daughter relationship, or collaterally, usually brother-brother relationship, or occasionally as a brother-sister relationship. Both these types refer to compositional aspect of patrilineal joint family. In matrilineal system, found in southwest and northeast India. The family is usually composed of a woman, her mother, and her married and unmarried daughters. The mother's brother is also an important member of the family. He is the manager of matrilineal joint affairs. The husband of female member live with them. In Kerala, a husband used to be frequent visitor to the wife's household and he lived in his mother's household. Pauline Calenda described the joint family on the basis of relatives who are its members. Collateral joint family. It comprises two or more married couples between whom there is a sibling bond. In this type, usually a brother and his wife and another brother and his wife live together with unmarried children. Next is supplemented collateral joint family. It is a collateral joint family along with unmarried, divorced, or widowed relative. The supplemented relatives are generally the widowed mother of the married brothers or widower father of an unmarried sibling. Lineal joint family. Two couples between whom there is a lineal link, like between a parent and his married son, or sometimes between a parent and his married daughter, live together. Supplemented lineal joint family. It is a lineal joint family together with unmarried, divorced, widowed relative who do not belong either lineally. Example, the father's widower brother or the son's wife's unmarried brother or sister. This is supplemented lineal joint family. Lineal collateral joint family. In this type, three or more couples are linked lineally or collaterally. For instance, we have a family consisting of parents, their two or more married sons, and their unmarried children. Supplemented lineal collateral joint family. In this type, lineal collateral joint family plus unmarried, widowed, separated relative who belong to one of the nuclear families. For example, father's widowed sister or brother or unmarried niece of the father. Second is number of generation in one unit. The joint family is also seen in terms of number of generation present in it. Some researchers like I.P. Desai, T.N. Madan emphasizes that the large number of generation present in family is important for identifying a joint family. A joint family is commonly defined as three generation family. For instance, a man, his married son, and his grandchildren makes a joint family. M.S. Gore defines joint family as a group consisting of adult male co-partner and their dependents. The wives and the young children of these male members are dependent. The female members have not been included in the category of co-partner. They have right of residence and maintenance only as dependent. In 1937, an attempt was made to confer the same right, that is, the right of inheritance of property, on a Hindu widow as her son would have in the estate of her late husband. The act enabled her to enjoy the income only from the immovable property of her husband during her lifetime. Until the passing of Hindu Succession Act 1956, this act is very important. Two systems of inheritance dominated among patrilineal Hindus. There were the two systems of inheritance among patrilineal Hindus. The first system was Mitakshara. The first system is known as Mitakshara. Mitakshara school adopted in the most regions. A son has vested interest in father's ancestral property from the moment of his birth. The son becomes the owner of father's property from birth, and the father cannot give away any part of this property to the loss of son's interest. This is Mitakshara property. This is Mitakshara school. The other system was Dayabaga. The Dayabaga adopted in Bengal and Assam. The father is the absolute owner of his share and has right to alienate his property the way he wants. These were the two systems of inheritance, Mitakshara and Dayabaga, until the passing of Hindu Succession Act 1956. Among the patrilineal Hindus, some movable property is given to the daughters at the time of their marriage as Stridhan. With the passing of Hindu Succession Act of 1956, a uniform system of inheritance has been established. The individual property of male Hindu, having made no will, passes in equal shares between the son, daughter, widow, and mother. Before 1900 Hindu Succession Act 1956, the son was only male who inherits the father's property, but Hindu Succession Act 1956 made the provision that the property will be distributed among son, daughter, widow, and mother. Male and female successor have come to be treated as equal in matters of inheritance and succession according to Hindu Succession Act 1956. Another important feature of the act is that property possessed by the female Hindu is held by her as her absolute property, and she has full power to deal with it the way she likes. This act has also given a woman the right to inherit from father as well as from husband. Marriage, the institution of marriage. Marriage is one of the universal institution like that of family. The institution of marriage and family is closely connected and complementary to each other. Marriage is the institution established by human society to control and regulate the sex life of a man in a legal and customary manner. It has different implications in different culture. The nature, types, and functions of marriage may differ from society to society, but it is present everywhere as an institution like family. Marriage is universal. The nature, the type, and function may vary from society to society, but it is present in every society, same as family. It could have different implications in different cultures, but still, marriage is an institution which is universal. Marriage is a socially acknowledged and sometimes legally ratified union between an adult male and an adult female. According to Hutton and Hunt, marriage is the approved social pattern whereby two or more persons establish a family. Malinovsky says that marriage is a contract for the production and maintenance of children. Edward Westmark defines marriage as a relation of one or more men to involve one or more women, which is recognized by custom, laws, and involve certain rights and duties, both in case of parties entering the union and children born out of it. Lundberg says that marriage consists of rules and regulations, which defines the rights, duties, privileges of husband and wife with respect to each other. Harry M. Johnson's define marriage as a stable relationship in which a man and a woman are socially permitted without loss of standing in the community to have children. Mark and Young have said that marriage is an institution or set of norms which determines the particular relations of harmony to each other and their children. Marriage is an important social institution. It is a relationship which is socially approved. The relationship is defined and sanctioned by customs and law. The definition of relationship includes not only guidelines for the behavior relating to the sex but also regarding the things like the particular way labor is to be divided and other duties and privileges. Thus, marriage is not only means of sexual gratification but also a set of cultural mechanism to ensure the continuation of family. Among Hindus, marriage is regarded as socio-religious duty. According to Hindu, marriage is a dharma. Ancient Hindu text points out three main aims of marriages. These are dharma, praja, and rati. Remember this thing, this is very important. The main aim of marriage, according to Hindus, are dharma, praja, and rati. Islam looks upon marriage as an obligation which must be fulfilled by every Muslim. Christianity holds marriage as a crucial to life and lays emphasis on the establishment of mutual relationship between husband and wife on their duties to each other. Every society lays down certain rules to select their life partner, are not allowed to marry whomsoever they want. Members have to abide by the prohibitive or prescriptive rules of marriage while selecting their marital partner. Prohibitive rules are those which put restrictions on man or woman from entering into marital alliance with certain category of people. Endogamy, according to Hubble, endogamy is a social rule that requires a person to marry within a defined socio group of which he is a member. You can marry within a group. Endogamy is a rule of marriage in which the life partner becomes outside the group is prohibited. Marriage is allowed within the group, and group may be caste, class, tribe, race, village, religious group, etc. So, endogamy, what is endogamy? Marrying within a group is endogamy. Group it could be on the basis of class, it could be caste. You can marry within your own caste, class, caste, tribe, village, religion. The purpose of endogamy is to maintain racial purity. Second is geographical separation, religious differences, cultural differences, sense of superiority or inferiority, the policy of separation, and desire to keep wealth within a group. Exogamy, according to Hubble, exogamy is a social rule that prohibits a person from marrying within a defined social group of which he or she is a member. You cannot marry within a group. It is opposite to endogamy. In endogamy, you cannot marry outside the group, but exogamy, you cannot marry within the group. Exogamy is a practice of marriage in which an individual has to marry someone outside his or her own group. Every community prohibits members from having marital relationships within the group. Exogamy marriage assumes various forms in Hindu of India, such as Gotra and Sapinda. Sapind. Gotra Gotra refers to a group of families which share or have common mythical marital ancestors and common blood relatives from parental side. What is Gotra? It is a group of families which share common mythical marital ancestors or the common blood relatives from the parental side. On marrying outside, one's Gotra is called Gotra exogamy. So you cannot, according to Hindus, you cannot marry within your Gotra. Sapinda, what is Sapinda? Sapinda means a person cannot intermarry of 7 generations of the father's sides and the 5 on the mother's side. In some areas of India like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, a girl and a boy from the same village are not permitted to marry because the village is considered to be a one unit and they have a practice of marrying outside their village. Incest taboo, prohibition of sex or marital relationship between two persons who are related to each other by blood ties or who belong to the same families. Amongst Hindus, marriage among close kin is prohibited in North India, but in South India, it is prescribed to some extent. So it varies from region to region and from religion to religion. Hypergamy or anuloma. It is that form of marriage in which a boy from an upper caste can marry a girl from a lower caste. Thus, a Brahman boy can marry from the lower caste girl. This is anuloma or hypergamy. Hypogamy or pratiloma. Hypo means low. Hypogamy or pratiloma. It is that form of marriage in which a boy from a lower caste marries a girl from the higher caste. In traditional societies, such marriage were not encouraged or preferred. Hence, it was not possible for a Brahmin girl to marry a boy from a lower caste or varna and get acceptance from the society. At times, Anuloma society can accept Anuloma, but Pratiloma or hypogamy, it is difficult to get acceptance from the society. These were the prohibitive rules. Now we'll discuss about the preferential or the prescriptive rules. Such type of customs which prescribes as to whom one should marry or prefer to marry is called prescriptive rules. Cross cousin marriage. The marriage of two individuals who are the children of sibling of opposite sex. That is, a man marries his mother's brother's daughter or his father's sister daughter is called cross cousin marriage. Such type of marriage is practiced among Gonds of Madhya Pradesh and Aran and Kahira tribes of Jharkhand. Such type of marriage are also found in southern part of India. Next is parallel cousin marriage, the marriage of two individuals who are the children of sibling of same sex. That is, a man marries his mother's sister's daughter or his father's brother's daughter is called parallel cousin marriage. Such type of marriage is seen among Muslims. Then levirate marriage. Remember this term, levirate marriage. Levirate is a practice of a custom in which a widow marries her late husband's brother. It is also known as Natal or Nantara. Such type of practice is prevalent among Toda of Nilgiri Hills and also found in some parts of Punjab. Levirate, where a widow can marry her late husband's brother. Next type of marriage is sororate marriage. Sororate is a practice of custom in which widower marries his late wife's sister. Sororate. There are various forms of marriage. First is monogamy, marriage of a man to a woman at a time. One man can marry one woman at a time. Next type is polygamy, marriage of a man or a woman to more than one spouses. Polygamy has two forms, polygyny and polyandry. Polygyny is marriage of a man to several women at a time, and polyandry is marriage of a woman to several men at a time. So there are two forms of marriage, monogamy and polygamy. Monogamy is marriage between one male and one female. That is monogamy. Polygamy is marriage of a man or woman to more than one spouses. Polygamy is further divided into polygyny and polyandry. Polygyny is marriage of a man to a several women at a time, and polyandry is when one woman marries to several men at a time. That is polyandry. Monogamy among Hindus until the passing of Hindu Marriage Act 1955. Remember Hindu Succession Act 1956 and Hindu Marriage Act 1955. A Hindu man married was permitted to marry more than one woman at a time. Before this Hindu Marriage Act 1955, although permitted, polygyny has not been common among Hindus. Although the men were permitted, but it was not common. It was limited to the section of population like kings, headmen of villages, members of landed aristocracy actually practiced this polygyny. Who had means and powers to acquire more than one wife at a time were polygynous. The other important reason for polygyny were the barrenness of the wife or her prolonged sickness. Among some occupational group like agriculturalists, artisans, polygyny prevailed because of an economic gain involved in it. Concreted efforts to remove this practice were made in the 19th century and the early 20th century by social reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Rai, Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar, Dayanand Saraswati, and others. After independence, the Hindu Marriage Act 1955 established monogamy for all Hindus and other who came to be governed by this act. Some of other communities covered by this act are Sikh, Jains, Buddhist. So all are covered by this act. Strict monogamy is prescribed in Christian and Parsi community. Polygyny, Islam has allowed polygyny. A Muslim can marry as many as four wives at a time, provided all are treated as equals. However, it seems that polygynous unions have been restricted to a small percentage of Muslims, namely the rich and powerful. With regard to the tribal population, customary law of tribals in general has not forbidden polygyny. So polygyny is quite common in tribal population. Polygyny is more widespread among the tribes of North and Central India. Polyandry is even less common than polygyny. A few Kerala castes practiced polyandry until recently. The Toda of Nilgiris in Tamil Nadu, the Khasas and Jaunsar Babar in Dehradun district of Uttaranchal and some other North Indian caste practice polyandry. In fraternal form of polyandry, the husbands are the brothers. There are certain factors that are related to prevalence of polyandries, and the factors are desire to prevent the division of property within the family. Another is desire to preserve the unity and solidarity of sibling groups. Third factor is the need for more than one husband in a society when the men are away on commercial or military journey. And another factor is a difficult economy, especially an unfertile soil, which doesn't favor division of land and belongingness. Monogamy is most prevalent form of marriage in India. Today we discussed about institutions like family and marriage. In our next lecture, we'll discuss the institution of kinship and then we'll discuss about religion. That's all for today. Thank you very much.